Hello, my name is Sam Foster, and I am on the committee for Durango to organize the Earth Day events that we're having here. Today we have Dr. Heidi Steltzer with us as a speaker. Dr. Steltzer is a professor of biology, environment, and sustainability at Fort Lewis College, and this is a specialty area for her. She will speak today about climate change, and especially ecological factors in mountain systems, which is where she works. So Heidi, the first question that I have for you is, I understand that you work on mountain ecosystems. Can you tell us some of the effects of climate change on our mountain ecosystems here?
Thanks, Sam. Hello, Southwest Colorado. Welcome for this Earth Day presentation. We are currently on the back deck at my home as part of the Stay Home initiative in the state of Colorado. And the mountains are our backyard here in Durango, Colorado, which is what makes it pretty easy to study them, even when we have the restrictions that are in place. There are changes taking place all the time. One of the ones that happens in my backyard, literally in my backyard, which is covered with scrub oak, is that I can see the leaf out date on the oak is earlier than I remember it ever being in the past. A matter of fact, it was so consistent in so much early June that we raised our son telling him that his birthday was when the oak leafed out. And these days, the oak leaf out in late May rather than in early June, and we tell him that that's when his birthday should be. So we have to recognize that things are changing in our backyards, and they're changing up on the mountain hill slopes behind us. The mountain hill slopes behind us are getting less snow. The snow is melting faster, and it's melting earlier. And that environmental cue is incredibly significant for where and how water supply reaches the communities like Durango and across the Southwest. So there's lots going on in our backyards for ecological change in mountain systems due to the changing climate.
Thank you, Heidi. And are we seeing these types of changes elsewhere in the world?
We are seeing these changes elsewhere in the world. As part of an Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change report that I contributed to, we looked at patterns of changes in mountain glaciers and mountain snow around the world, in high mountain areas around the world. We knew that the story for glaciers would be shrinking glaciers, shrinking in area, shrinking in volume of ice, and much more water coming out of those glaciers now, so that we're losing the stored water that would be there for future years, future decades, future centuries. For snow, we were far less certain about what the story would be, because from one mountain range to the other and from one year to the next, snowpack varies so much more than glaciers and the rate that glaciers melt. But even with all that between year variation and all that mountain range to mountain range variation, there's still emerged a story of snow line, that location at which it's high enough in elevation that you get consistent winter snowfall, that snow line is moving up in elevation, which means that there are lower elevation regions that are getting less snow. And I'll add one more piece to bring it back to Colorado in our region, is that a new study was just published this February. And that new study shows that when snowline moves up in elevation, we have more dark ground and less white ground. And that changes how much a region warms, so that we're a region that's warming, the planet's warming, and because of our changing snowline, we're gonna warm at a faster rate.
Wow, very interesting. And of course, especially in the Southwest, we depend so much on water. And so everything you're talking about, Dr. Steltzer, uh, affects the seasonality of water and all the organisms that depend on it. What
Yep.
are some other things that we can do to bring a positive change as far as our community and the US and the world in general?
So one of the things that I'd like to say is find people with whom you can gather and have a conversation. Share with people what your perspective is, and be open to what the perspective of others are. Knowing that that conversation is an opportunity for us to all learn a little bit more about where and how our environment's changing and what parts of the environment we value together. So for example, all of us love mountain hikes and the opportunity to get up in the mountains, and we can find common ground in that space and then look to see where and how my experience of the mountain might be different than yours because I study the mountains and I'm constantly asking myself questions about how they work when I go on a hike. The other piece that I'll share is that we can coordinate for ways that we can ask government and business to help us grow the opportunity to have sustainability and sustainable practices be less challenging financially. So where and how can we ask for the support we need, for example, through carbon dividends, so that we can all make the choices we want to make to keep our mountain vistas what we have long known them to be.
Thank you so much. That is very inspiring. And you're right. It is the big we, isn't it, that is going to help solve this. So thank you again, Dr. Steltzer. It's been very nice.